Hey guys, welcome to another episode of TR's Corner. For today's episode, what I want to talk about is the time where the game Pokemon Stadium was pretty big for the Nintendo 64. And there was actually a time in a space and time in my life where, this game was pretty popular still. And this game was almost taken away from us for almost an entire year. That's how bad this fight went down between my brother and I. And what happened was is we were playing this game, and for some I don't remember the small details about the fight, but it was one of those like verbal fights, kind of, how like kids, how what kids do, when they don't get their way, and there's a brother or sister or two brothers or two sisters, they're kind of fighting over something, something that they both really enjoy and things like that. So this Pokemon Stadium game, we had it, at the time we had the Nintendo 64 in my room, believe it or not. And at the time, because it's kind of the big system for that time period, you know, myself and my brother included, every chance we got back in the day, because I wasn't as big about in film back then as I am now, but so video games was pretty big. So every chance I got, I wanted to play the Nintendo 64 or my Game Boy Color or whatever other system I was playing at the time, and because the system was in my room, obviously, I could just get out of bed during the summer or whatever I wanted to do, around that time. And, I could just immediately go to the Nintendo 64. And so, unfortunately for my brother, if he wanted to play and if I was still sleeping or whatever, I would be hearing it happening in the other side of the room while he's doing it, things like that. So, um, but one time there was a huge fight that I don't even remember what it was. We just couldn't agree on something, and the verbal fight became very bad. And you'll see in a second, it got bad enough where our punishment for it was even worse than the verbal fight itself. Yeah, as for some odd reason, like either I was doing something in my room and I didn't want him to be there, or we just couldn't agree on something, or he wanted to do something in single player that I refused to let him do. So it was one of those things where at the time we didn't have much else that we wanted to be a part of, besides this game. That we had huge fights. So, if he was using it for too long, I would get mad at him, or if I used it for too long, he would get mad at me, and so it was one of those kind of things. So the verbal fight went on. I think it was one of those things where this fight went on for about 20-25 minutes. We just could not agree on something. And so my mom came into the room, and this is where the real story comes in. She not only did she take the game away from us, she got so mad at us, and we were still fighting while she took it away from us. She took the game away for a year. A whole year. We had to go through a whole year without this game. So because we had Hollywood Video around the time, I think we rented it multiple times. So by the time we got our own copy back, we could make the progress that we made on the rental copy and things like that. And yeah, that was not fun. We had our game taken away for a year. We had to go to friends' houses. We had to rent the game a lot. Fight still continued after we this game was taken away from us. And it turns out, one year later, when the game isn't as popular anymore as it once was the year before, my mom, took me into her bedroom one day, and I guess she hid it in her sock drawer or something. And she handed me the copy. She's like, "Okay, right, this was taken away from you for a year now. I'm finally giving it back to you two. Please don't fight like you were, around this time last year." And so, yeah, so it was summer vacation when it was taken away, and we didn't get it back until the summer vacation after that. And that was not a yeah that was a bad punishment. That, like, we almost were in pain that the game was gone from us for so long. And and keep in mind too, when we rented games too, we weren't one of those families, where we would rent multiple games all at once at Hollywood Video. We were one of those families where like we could probably rent one or two games if we were lucky. And we went to Hollywood Video like maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. We were one of those kind of families too. And we rented more so movies than games at Hollywood Video, but still, I mean, when it came to games, um, films seemed to have bigger priority, as far as us renting those over the games. But yeah, that was a bad punishment just because, like I said, it was a very long time for me to get that game back. Um, fights happen. Whenever we got the rental, we would really make sure to dedicate a lot of time to playing the game again. And so yeah, every time I see my copy of Pokemon Stadium, I still remember the time where it's like I had to wait a whole year at one point to get this game back, and man, was I not happy about that. So that's today's story, you guys. Let me know if you liked it down below. Let me know if you've had a game taken away from you for a long time and it kind of scarred you almost in a way just because it was taken away from you for so long. And I have plenty of other TR's Corner episodes coming, and I hope to see you guys here for a future video.